Joshua, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you. How are you?
Okay, I can see the rabbi is here. Is he rabbi?
I don't actually know.
You don't know him?
No, I know them.
I'm not together?
I know. No, we're not together.
Is he rabbi?
I don't know if they're rabbis. I know their names. I don't know if they're rabbis.
Is he too young to be rabbi? I am a rabbi, you know.
No, yeah.
No, he's a rabbi.
It's not for you to say, it's for me to say. I can be whatever I want to be.
Can you though?
I'm Jewish too.
Are you
I told you
though?
I'm Jewish.
Is your mother Jewish?
It doesn't matter. I'm Jewish because I believe in Moses. I live by the Torah.
You know that's really?
Yeah.
You keep Shabbos?
Every day is Shabbos for me.
Shabbos is only one day a week.
I do. I'm even better. I'm doing it 7 days a week.
You're not allowed to. You have to work for 6 days and rest on the
I
seventh.
keep the Sabbath. Okay, I keep the Sabbath. Yeah, I keep the
Saturday. Saturday is the 7th day of the week. Shabbos.
I keep the Sabbath. Yeah.
Can you eat camel?
Sorry?
Can you eat camel?
I haven't ate it in my life.
But can you?
Do you think you're allowed to?
Okay, I could be a sinner Jewish. I
Fair
could be
enough.
Okay. I could
Okay,
sin,
then.
yeah, but still Jewish.
Fair enough.
Okay. I could eat it, yeah.
Fair enough. Which community do you come from?
I have my own community.
What's it called?
I'm one-man community.
A one-man community?
Yes, one-man community.
A man and a mission.
You could say that. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. You learn Gemara?
I learn Kabul.
You learn Gemara?
Gemara.
Yeah, Gemara.
What does? Okay, remind me what's that? I know about it. But remind me. Gemara. 1 second. Gemara. Is it about Mashiach?
There is some stuff about Mashiach in Gemara, but it's a very small part of it.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Gemara is a vast amount of stuff. There's 63 Masechtas in the Gemara.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to learn it every day.
Is it the law?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course, I keep to the law. The Torah means law, right? Yeah. The law of God, yeah.
You know he's trying to confuse you, right?
No, it's alright. He's not gonna be able to. Yeah. I'm a rabbi. He can't confuse a rabbi.
Alright, I've got a question for you. Do you know what the problem is with the Quran, chapter 12, verse 19?
Chapter 12. Do you know the name of the surah?
Surah Yusuf.
And verse number, what did it say?
99.
99. What does it say? What does it say?
That Yusuf's parents came to him.
Sajadu, they prostrate to him or what?
Yeah, they came to Egypt.
Okay.
And they appeared before Yusuf.
Okay.
Right, do you know what the problem with that is, according to Judaism?
And they came. They came to him.
Yeah.
And what's the problem?
Do you know what the problem is?
You didn't say.
Every rabbi knows immediately the problem with that verse.
Oh, okay, tell me what it is.
Yeah. Yosef's mother was already dead.
Okay, we accept that. But his mother could be the wife of his wife. The wife of his father.
That's not his mother.
But he would honor her like he honored his mother because for his father.
And then
look, in Islam, the mother, the wife of your father is like your mother.
But you're a Muslim?
You should treat her. You should treat her as, it's about respect. You should respect her. Okay, what you supposed me to do? Okay, my mother died. My father married another woman. What you supposed me to do? Hate her?
No, you're supposed to honor her, but she's not your mother. She's the wife of your father, but she's not your mother.
Okay, the Quran say the wife of the Prophet is our mother.
Okay, fine.
But obviously not actual mother.
But you know, Saeed, as fellow Jews, we don't believe in the Quran.
No, I know you don't, but I'm not saying because you don't or you do or don't.
But you don't
I'm just telling you how we treat elderly women.
Fair enough.
I'll give you an example.
With respect.
In the Old in the Old Testament.
The only Testament.
In the Hebrew Bible.
Yes.
Does it say that you cannot marry your mother?
Yes.
So
really?
And it also says that you're not allowed to marry your father's wife.
Yeah.
It says both of them.
I agree. So with
Count every single truth.
with the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, after he passed away, they were unable to
You mean like
remarry.
locally, like in a small area?
Okay, so the term your mother is from a spiritual sense that you can't marry them and you have to honor them and look after them and revere them and respect them. So that's why I said they are your mothers in that sense.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We have a similar
No, absolutely.
concept
Logic is
of, we talk about the four
Islam says
four
let's not
imams,
make
the four
out that
matriarchs
it's
of
every
the
other
Jewish
tool,
people.
right?
So
Your
we've got Rachel and Leah. Not that people were not allowed to marry them after husbands died. It happens to be that all of them died before their husbands did.
Let's say reliable science, not all science,
but
Joshua,
they're
when
the
you
mothers
say-
of the people in that
is things that can rely on certain things that we
kind
can
of a spiritual
different
sense as
levels
well.
of reliability.
Joshua, when you
And-
say there is
and
a
also,
problem
we
when
can use
Quran
logic
say
and be mistaken. How
that
many times have we done a math question in
that
class?
Jacob's
You know what
wife
I mean?
is mother
Happens all the
to
time.
Joseph.
So you can get
I think
get it wrong.
you say that
So
because you look
we're
at it
not
as a
perfect,
physical,
right? And it's
in
impossible.
a physical
It's
aspect,
logically impossible for us to be
not in a different aspect.
therefore,
Like I said to you,
it's not
Islam
about- it's not
Islam
about
called
being like,
called
getting
that
the answer
lady
like that we're 100% sure.
Joseph
That's not the
mother.
point. The point is
Islam
to get
also
an
called
answer
the
that we
wife
can
of the Prophet our mother. So you could see that there is different meaning there.
I hear.
It's not physical.
I hear.
Josh, next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Nice to meet you. Was it Quaker?
Yeah, Quaker.
That's a cool name. Is that? Where's,
Baker?
Which language is that?
It's West Africa, Ghana.
Is it Twi?
Yeah. Yeah, you're in tune.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very
well
cool.
versed.
Hold on. Etidem?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Boko.
Soon, yeah.
Those are the only words I know. But yeah. Yeah, I've got a Ghanaian friend who taught me a bit of Twi.
Okay.
So comes in use sometimes.
Okay,
Like
all right,
Ghanaian.
very good, very good.
Cool. You're a funny guy, Said. You're a funny guy.
I'm not funny. I'm realistic. You know. I'm realistic. I can be.
Nelson!
I can be Jew.
It's a family reunion. We got you. Joseph Cohn was here earlier.
I thought you don't handshake non-Jews.
just for you.
Oh, especially.
Yeah, only for you.
Only for
because
you.
we like you.
Because we like you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
No idea who you are, but I
We've
like
got
you.
a book of Goyim that we like. You're in that book.
really,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Going
There's
back
a
to my
list.
point,
We got a
if you
list.
mind, if you mind if we could go back
It's
to the
thousands
point.
of years old.
Because you see that. Sorry, just a question. Going back to the question I was asking earlier. Going back to the point of the lady there, where she was.
I don't know what she was talking about.
While you were there listening.
Yeah, I
to
know.
her,
I wasn't really
Oh,
paying
she were
attention.
all over.
She was going all over the place.
Okay, but the point I was making in terms of the relationship between the Muslims and the Jewish community is that throughout the history, we've never been in conflict.
We have been sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally, that's normal, like fathers and kids and wives and, family issues.
I wouldn't say it was that light. I think it was far
Yeah,
worse
of course,
than that.
political and agreements and treaties from that context.
Discrimination,
Possibly.
persecution.
Possibly.
That's a big question. You should ask him. Though.
But is the point I'm trying to make. Individuals doing something to the Jewish community under the law, like let's say, because you are a Jew, does it mean that you won't break a law?
No,
if
of
you
course
break
not.
a law, you're going to be prosecuted.
I agree with you. I
that's-
agree with you. And that just because a Muslim does something doesn't mean that it's Islam.
Yeah,
right?
that's the point.
What I will say though
Yeah.
is that where you have actual caliphates that have their own interpretation of the Quran, and based on their interpretation,
Are you filming?
they do things in a certain way. They
Did you film me with him?
then one who is not a Muslim doesn't really have a horse in the race.
Am I on the video?
Is right,
Yeah,
is able to say, well, this is actually an Islamic.
Oh, very
So,
good,
for
very good. I'm
example,
gonna watch it.
when
Do you mind
It's
just
gonna be long?
Well, no, I'd have to push it out.
But equally throughout every civilization, such as the Romans, they had citizens and the barbers.
Okay.
So equally, every community has a sort of status to those who belong, because back and I believe amongst the Jewish community, you still have this concept of where your community is structured based upon religion, bloodline, or tribe.
Okay, yeah.
So if the society is structured that way, now we live in a completely different system.
Right.
First time in the history of mankind.
I'll give you examples, right?
Not first, the Romans were very international.
I'll give you an example. Have you heard of Zaydiya?
Zaydiya or Zaydiya?
Zaydiya.
Okay.
Zaydiya is a sect of Islam.
Yes.
Right? It's very dominant in Yemen.
Yes.
And they're one of the Shia groups, but they don't have idols and they don't have images, a bit like the Sunnis. And they throughout history at different points have been in charge in Yemen. Now they have their own interpretations of the Quran, they've got their own hadiths. And one of the things that they believe in is that all orphans of non-Muslim families should be taken away and given to Muslim families and be made to be Muslim. That's the Zaydi opinion. And so when the Zaydis were in charge, they would enforce this. It was known as the Orphans Decree. And who were the non-Muslims in Yemen? They were the Jews. And so in Yemen there were no Christians.
From the Abyssinian Empire, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. So what used to happen was, whenever you had a case where the parent of a Jewish child died, the Zaydi authorities would kidnap the child, even if there was still another living parent.
It's like slavery.
And they would,
and
they would send them, and they would give them to a Muslim family, and they would be brought up as a Muslim instead. In some cases, what the Jewish community used to do was they used to, as soon as their parents died, they would marry off the child to a fellow orphan or something, or to another child, because if they were married, then they weren't be allowed to be taken. And I read an article, not an article, I saw an interview recently of this very elderly Yemenite Jewish man in Israel and his wife. They were both orphaned on the same day, and so they were married to each other when he was 9 years old and when he was 11 and she was 9, and they have been married ever since, and they're in their 90s. And they've got many descendants in Israel. But anyway, so this was something that was done, and it was based on their interpretation of either the Quran or the Hadith or something.
I would call it ijtihad, which is an effort to reach the best outcome possible.
Right.
In between this Islamic, is something natural amongst humans.
Right. So this is what the Zaydis did, and they did it because of their interpretation of Islam.
But this is not discriminating or killing or prosecuting.
This is kidnapping children.
Well, that is a good way to interpreting that event, but we're talking about orphans, and like for example, what determines someone's citizenship? Okay, what do I mean by that? For example, you're right. For example, if we go to Calais, I don't know if you ever drove through the Eurotunnel tunnel in the English Channel. You see migrants who look just like me from a different part of the world, and just with the fact I was born in a different place, I have some privileges where someone who shares exact same genetics, ethnicity, and shares a lot with me is not a citizen.
Yeah.
So we are privileged in some elements but who determines the
whereas wherever it is that they've come from, they're citizens there, whereas you're not a citizen there, or maybe you are.
No, I'm not. But the point I'm trying to make is basically we don't determine these things. There are laws.
Are you
example,
Ethiopian, by the way?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just giving a vague
I'm just trying to work it out.
Oh, I'm Black Portuguese.
Oh,
yeah,
what, like Angola?
That is one of the Portuguese former colonies. Myself is Cape Verde and in South.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know.
I've never met anyone from there.
Are you familiar with Santomi and Prince? Santomi.
No, I'm not.
Basically, Santomi during the Crusades, Portugal was formed by Crusades. Basically.
Yeah.
Santomi and Principe.
Yeah.
Oh, so tell me in Principe.
Yeah, I didn't know how to, the English, way to say it, but
off the coast.
the Portuguese, they took a lot of the Jewish kids and sent them there.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
It's a very sad story.
Yeah.
But if we would compare what the Inquisition done to the Muslims and the Jewish community in Spain, and whatever you might say that any caliphate, any interpretation of Islamic sect or Islamic sects have done in a normal relationship, like you said, they would kidnap the kids to convert them to the Islamic faith. Can you compare these two actions? An orphan who's been given rights, a Muslim rights, who the state believe that they have the right to, like foster family.
Right.
You understand? What's the difference? You see the comparison between both of them?
Okay, so
it's massive. Spanish Inquisition and you can't really compare.
That's true. I can't compare those things, right? I have to compare like with like. So, for example, I can compare the orphans decree with various times when Jewish children were taken by the Christian state to be raised as Christians. Those two things are comparable.
Orphans, because you made the detail that the Fatimid Caliphate would Zaydi Caliphate or Sultan or whatever they were in that region at the time, they would take orphans. You specified orphans without both parents, I would assume, or
even without one.
Maybe it's referred to the father if it goes in accordance with Islamic traditions. Maybe because the kids didn't have the means of survival and the mother didn't work or have the means to look after them, the state saw that they were in charge, so the way they would take that burden from the family was to be raised by another family, even if they had to be converted to Islam. So it's not something really, I don't see that as oppression. Unlike the black community who've been kidnapped, enslaved,
and castrated
and
by the Arabs.
Forced, have you ever wondered why there's no native black people in the Middle East despite the Arab slave trade? They are.
No, I didn't think. They were all castrated.
So earlier generations that weren't they were castrated, so therefore they couldn't have children in the area.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, this is scary.
Yeah.
It's scary, but again,
even the Europeans.
Can I make a point about that?
Insane.
Can I make a point about that?
Yeah.
It's incredible to see how many black Muslims there are, despite that, which shows that in Islam, we don't hold Arabs as any higher than an Ajam, so someone who's not Arab. Like me and an Arab, in front of God is the same.
I hope for your sake that's true.
It is though.
Yeah, it is.
It's literally, that is literally word for word.
There are tribalism which even exists among black people in Africa. Some tribes believe they're superior, even amongst the Asian, the caste system, even amongst you Jewish community.
That's Hindu.
You believe prior to Islamic practices.
No, he was talking
about
in the caste of Pakistanis in north of England.
But this But going back to my point, even amongst the Jew, they believe that the Ethiopian Jew are not as
not in the north of England, bro. That's different, bro. I can't even say it.
True, though. The argument about the Ethiopians is whether or not they are actually Jews. It's not a question of, because if they are Jews, we agree that they're equal to us.
that whole side.
But if they're not Jews, then they are the same as all non-Jews.
So northwest.
Hello?
Oh, sorry.
36. Thank you.
We're in the camera, innit?
You just got here now. So I see your point.
There are genuine questions. It's put this day that before I came here, I was looking for this booklet I have, and at the end of the booklet, it's got a thing about the Ethiopians and the whole question about the tradition of
I have a book on that as well.
Right, so it's by Kaplan.
I have even an audiobook version.
Because put today, I couldn't find the booklet. I couldn't bring it. And I ended up not bringing it. Anyway, there are genuine questions about their tradition and about the Ethiopians.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of social media?
I don't. I'm on Discord, but that's basically it.
But you know, Discord has a lot of chat, like a lot of people talking.
Yeah.
Have you heard of? So I mean, obviously, I'm only seeing it from a social media point of view. That coming of Yeshua.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
Basically, Christians in the last 60 years have decided that Jesus have realised that Jesus has got a really, really bad name amongst the Jews because of all the persecution we suffered under the Christians.
Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, please carry on.
I'll just ask a question.
The solution that they have come up with in order to try and convert us, because even the most secular Jew is repulsed by the idea of Jesus, right? It's become an innate part of Jewish society,
like
Jewish
an
culture.
innate predisposition is to completely be against Jesus.
We are very much against it, and so what they decided to do was they decided to Jew it all up. Let's try to make it all sound a bit more Jewish and use a bit of Hebrew here. So instead of saying Jesus, I'll say Yeshua, and instead of saying convert to Christianity, you'll say you become a completed or fulfilled Jew. And instead of saying New Testament, I'll say Brit HaChadasha, which means New Covenant in Hebrew.
This is the book.
Oh, right.
Are you familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with the book, but I'm familiar with the author because I have another book of his at my house.
Okay, he's an expert in when it comes to
there's another book. I don't know if you have access to the internet here. But there's another book written by a fellow called Kaplan. I forget the first name, about the history of the Ethiopians. But there's a really great booklet where at the back of it there's a very good summary of that book about the Ethiopians and the question of their tradition and whether they are actually Jews. And the conclusion I got from it is that actually it's very unlikely that they are Jews. There are serious questions. So the booklet or the book? So the booklet I can find very easy. It's on a website called Judaism's Answer.
Put that one in the bed, bro.
And it is starting page 48. So it starts here and it goes till the end, page 45. So this is one thing. What's the other thing? The other thing is basically the thing that he's quoting from the entire time, and it's called, because the reason I use the book is because he actually quotes from the book. So the book is Stephen Kaplan, The Better Israel Flash in Ethiopia, New York and London.
That's good.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff. But it seems historically that they're not actually Jews, and that what actually happened was they're actually a split off from the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. It seems to be a split off group that ended up rejecting Jesus and accepting more of the Old Testament practices. That ended up making them think that they were, that's why they adopted the name Better Israel, and then that's how they ended up with similar practices to us. But they don't have a solid tradition.
So would you then classify the black as a race impossible to be Jew?
Absolutely not. I've got friends who are converted.
No, I'm not referring to those who adopt the Jewish faith.
Isn't
but
that
those
your mum has to be Jewish?
Your mum has to be a Jew. So technically speaking,
no, I'm
they mix race.
Yeah, I know. So
my point is
historically, I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't actually know. Maybe there are. Right, it's possible. Right, I know that genetic testing has been done that shows that the Lembas do have that there's a have you heard of the Lembas?
Lembas, no.
They're a tribe in Zambia.
Zimbabwe.
No, not Zimbabwe. In Zambia.
Bordered anyway, so
actually, yeah, they're also in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Well, what I know about is the Zimbabwe one.
Within the Lembas, there is a group. So the Lembas claim descent from the lost tribes, and there's a group within the Lembas. I can't remember what they're called, and they are the priestly class within that tribe, and they claim to be the equivalent of Kohanim, right? Which is amongst the Jews, Kohanim are the people who descend from Aaron by the father, and there's a genetic marker that's been found that virtually all Kohanim all the different communities have, and it seems that quite a few of the people of this Lemba community who claim to be Kohanim also have that. So I think it's likely that they actually are a lost tribe, and they are very dark skinned, right, like yourself.
Yeah, well, the point I was trying to make is you were defining the Ethiopians on the basis of race, not based off.
No, I wasn't.
That's how it sounded very much.
I think I came a bit off in that conversation.
Yeah, it sounded very much that was connected to the because even
nothing to do with that.
Even
it's all about
historically,
tradition.
Yeah.
Historically, it does not look like they were ever Jews. It looks like they were split off from the church then. That looks like what's happened.
It's a matter of research.
Yeah, so there's various
opinions amongst the historians.
If you look at the materials that I've put up there, then you'll see what I'm talking about.
So,
I mean, actually, to go now.
Me too. So, just to conclude then, from an historical perspective, you don't agree with the lady earlier that she was insinuating that Islam and the Prophet Muhammad, we have incidents where certain things happened, based upon, as I mentioned as an example, if you break a law or a treaty, there is obvious consequences. But it wasn't initiated by the Muslims to betray and hurt the Jewish community. So
the issue was that it was already pre-agreed, and then it was refused after. So like if I promise you something and then I break that promise, that's not the same as someone not promising you something in the first place. Like if I completely refuse, that's not the same as I agree and then I refuse to do that.
Okay.
Do you not agree with that?
I definitely hear what you're saying.
Like do you understand that part of it?
Yeah.
Because obviously in Islam we clearly categorize the people of the book separately to other non-Muslims, and we have a higher allegiance to you.
Historically, it has always been the case.
Always been like that. We have a higher allegiance to you, and we've expected the same, obviously, in return, because we are an Abrahamic faith, and we believe in one God or whatever. So, if we have agreed something to you, it is part of our duty to hold ourselves accountable to that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I hear.
Well, anyway, your friend earlier acknowledged that the golden age of the Jewish community was under the Islamic rule.
Yeah, in Al-Andalus.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was that was a real flourishing of Jewish literature.
More from the scientific point of view.
I wouldn't even say flourishing. I would say Renaissance, because a lot of it was lost prior to that to Christian emperors or whatever.
You know, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure about how Jewish life in Spain was pre Al-Andalus,
but
pre the Muslims.
Regardless of that, we know how Jewish life was under Christian rule.
I personally don't know that. I
think we're the Visigoths. I'm not sure, even though I can't remember, even though I'm from Portugal. It's part of our history.
I'm not really an expert in the history of the Jews in Spain because it's not so relevant to me. I'm much more focused on the history of Germany and northern France and those areas.
Why would you specify the worst, not the worst, because under the Babylons, you guys
my
were.
tradition passes through. My tradition passes through.
Maybe your family and your inheritance, that's right.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is, why would we focus on the area of our history, which was horrible? But if you look at, if you go
There were good times.
further
There were
back,
good times.
if you go further back, there is worse. Under the Spanish Inquisition, it was far worse. So why would you specify modern history?
I guess because I connect with it more. I connect
Are you talking specifically in the 20th century?
No, I'm talking about throughout. I'm talking for 1,000
Like
years.
the Jewish diaspora.
The Jews in Germany, it really is so.
Prior to the Second World War.
Prior to the Second World War, communities in Germany, right, like Frankfurt and
Holland,
Nuremberg
Ukraine.
and Rottenburg, like these communities in Germany have been going on for over 1,000 years. Mainz and Worms and Speyer, 1,000 years, more than that, right? I mean, there's archaeological evidence of the
Even
Jewish
in Mali,
community-
are you aware of that? That the Jews went to Mali?
Oh yeah, they were expelled.
Timbuktu.
They were expelled.
Timbuktu.
It's strange.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
they
just
expelled
recently.
the same year.
Ajib, these people.
The same year that the Jews were expelled by the Christians in Spain, 1492, the Jews were expelled by the Muslims in Mali. The very same year.
Why were the Jews expelled by Muslims in Mali?
I don't know. I think there was a new edict that came in that everyone had to be Muslim, and they expelled all the non-Muslims.
Really
It happened to be that all the non-Muslims were Jews.
Because many of the Africans have never left their old traditions.
Yeah.
And they remain there up to today in that region, in West Africa. They never left. They never
Well, that's what
embraced
happens in
Islam.
Mali. That's what happened.
Yeah. Mali is a bit funny because it had some
Mali is very
commercial-
disconnected.
It's very financial motivated.
I'm talking back in the day anyway. And also Mansa
politics.
Musa came from Mali as well.
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Others.
But as in, money-wise, but
Richest
obviously
guy,
he was a
yeah.
very, for Muslim, one of the most proudest Muslims. One of the
He was Muslim?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mansa Musa. Yeah.
I knew he was the
The
richest
richest person
guy.
ever, 400,
Yeah.
Pilgrimage.
400 billion worth.
Yeah.
That's not even 400 million, that's 400 billion.
That's like a million, but with a B.
Or 400,000 of it.
Yeah.
400,000 million worth,
Yeah.
net worth.
But
Well, that's not the measurement of success. And
True. But we can say that as Muslims we're proud that that is something that he accomplished. And he did it being a
I've really got to go.
African Muslim,
But,
yeah, of course.
Nice
to see you.
Nice
Good
to.
conversation.
What's your name, sorry?
Bilal.
Bilal.
Mashallah.
Josh.
Josh.
And your
Sultan.
name?
Sultan.
Sultan.
Yeah.
Like a sultana.
Like a king.
Sultan is the family.
Yeah. Jews were here.
Ever seen that site?
No, I haven't. I've not seen it. It's pretty cool. What does it say? Show it to this guy. He'll be interested. Yeah, show it to him. Yeah, this guy's got something to show you.
No, JewsWereHere.com.
Wow, that's interesting. Were you aware of this?
No.
It's the first time.
Yeah, the first time.
It's something to look into.
That's quite a funny name.
Israelites will return to take down Islam.